without the past versions of your life, you would not be where you are today. And I can understand how we may not be where we want to be. But I also think that part of the journey, part of being sovereign, part of returning to yourself and trusting yourself is recognizing that no experience is anything without the experience that came from the past. No new identity, no new way of living, no new way of being will have the same meaning without the life that you've lived. And that includes sadness, that includes trauma, that includes heartbreak, and it's not to romanticize experiencing those things, because man, oh man, would it be great to not have to experience that? Would it have been great? But also, you wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't have the wisdom that you have. You wouldn't have the insight that you have. You wouldn't have the experience that you have. You wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't show up the way that you do. And I also feel like when we're healing, it's so easy for us to just look at all the ways that it feels like it's negative and it's bad and it's hurtful. And we look at things black and white, right? Right and wrong. And there's a lot more to that. There's so much in between, right? And there's extreme polarity. And it doesn't just happen in our lives. It doesn't just happen with our experiences. It happens in nature. It happens in the universe. It happens in everything that we see. There is always polarity, right? And I had a coach once who would say, how will you know what joy feels like if you've never felt sadness? How would you know what true love feels like if you haven't felt the opposite of that? Saying that to say, everything has a teaching, has a purpose, has a meaning, right? And it's up to us. We get to choose the meaning we give to everything that we experience, right? We get to choose if we're going to be, limiting ourselves, hard on ourselves because of some thoughts, because of some experiences that we've had. We get to choose that. It is our choice. And I also can understand that embracing that feels scary. The reason why it feels scary, because once you embrace that, you recognize the level of responsibility that you have for your life, right? And many of us can say it out loud, theoretically, right? That we want to change our life, that we want to take ownership, that we're ready for more. And yet, the older we become and the less things change, the more we actually have to be honest and recognize that things aren't changing because we aren't changing. And that's hard to sit with, and it's uncomfortable. But the minute that you do that, you actually liberate yourself. You become sovereign in who you are. Because the minute that you recognize there's actually a much greater level of choice and power that I have than what I've been used to, that's when things start to open up. So yeah, when I had my yoga and I was crying in gratitude. And in that moment, my intention for that class was, I release you with love and gratitude. Who? The versions of me that have carried me to this point. The versions of me that have loved me till this point. The best way that they could. The versions of me that have accepted less than what they deserve. But they didn't know that at the time. So I'm grateful. Because in every single one of those circumstances or instances, I now look back and those are the places that I've learned from. Those are the places that I've gathered new wisdom and information and knowledge and understanding and love. So I release it in love and with gratitude, because it's what's brought me here today. So I love you very much. And I hope that whatever it is that you're navigating, wherever it is that you are envisioning your life going, that you recognize that you hold a lot more power than maybe you've been conditioned to believe you do. And that is both scary and amazing. Back to polarity.